Once again, I want to continue a little about the behavior, the patterns of narcissistic people, because I have had to be discovering those since childhood on my own, and I had to learn the hard way that I'm a sensitive empath, highly sensitive person, a child, a young girl who I was. Now, as an adult, I do my best to speak up, to spread awareness to my soul people who are also like me, who are also survivors, trauma victims of narcissistic abuse, who are also empaths and highly sensitive people, whether men or women, doesn't matter. I serve my kind soul clients. So what is coming to me today is regarding the deep pain of feeling vulnerable after you've gone through this sort of a trauma and abuse. And especially if you're dealing with a narcissistic person who is a policeman, a doctor, a social worker, you've seen this, we have witnessed this, because we're God's chosen people. We're usually attacked from all around, from left and right, from random people. You know, I just talked about the case of this 16-year-old autistic boy, teenager, who died here in Finland in 2020 December. He died. I made a short video about this case because I want to raise awareness, because it can happen when you're in the wrong company. Seriously, they can kill you, they can take your life. So this is no joke. And even healthy people, completely healthy people, can end up in these toxic situations with these toxic people. So if you're dealing with narcissistic authority figures, or you have, then this will also resonate with you. Firmly, I believe from my own painful experiences that as chosen ones, empaths, highly sensitive people, especially if you are a woman, if a female, you are encountering a lot of those toxic men, you know, hitting on you, sexually harassing you, trying to strip you off from your power, trying to dim your light, trying to make you to be their personal slave. Now I just heard about this other case that also happened in 2020, because I like to invest these sorts of cases where a person has disappeared or died mysteriously. And so this is also one. So very often, from what I have been reading, when it comes to these sorts of cases, usually what happens is that the police doesn't help you. The authorities belittle the case, even though somebody would have disappeared and their loved ones are very worried, concerned, naturally losing their sleep, etc. But the police isn't doing anything. Or some other people are not doing anything, like social workers. I just talked about the case, the interview with Dr. Romani and a woman, that the woman's child was killed by his narcissistic father, because nobody did anything to help that poor little boy, and nobody believed the woman when she tried to seek for help. So this is just so wrong. It is all demonic. And there are plenty of children, teenagers here in Finland who have been taken from their families for one reason or another by the social workers, by authorities here in Finland. And they have been put in maybe even toxic families where they have been abused even more, went into drugs, alcohol problem, you know, things like that. They have gone to the wrong company, and then they have maybe killed themselves, or somebody else has killed them. So from what I have read from the news and heard, it's pretty common, and people don't even like to bring these things up, but I have to. It's my passion to talk about these issues. And so we're dealing with heavy traumatizing issues, because naturally it's very traumatizing if your life ends up like this, that you are taken from your family, maybe your family has been alcoholic, using drugs, abusing you. So there's a real reason, of course, in that case. But if you end up worse, and I also saw on TikTok, when I was on TikTok a while, I saw this young woman who clearly was a drug user. She was trying to recover and help others. And it touched my heart and my soul to see what she was posting on TikTok, but it also, of course, made me feel very uncomfortable in a way, because of course my empathy goes out to her, that she has done this to herself. And of course, usually if there is a murder case, a disappearance case, somebody knows something and somebody is withdrawing, pulling away, hiding away from speaking up, from talking. And it happens apparently way too much than it should. Because people should take accountability and responsibility for what they have done, first of all. But of course, if they are toxic, narcissistic, demonic people, they naturally don't. And they can kill people. So this ends up creating another murder case, another kidnap case, another disappearance case where a child has disappeared and their family is losing their life, basically because they are so worried, because they actually love that child. They actually respect their child. They actually want their child back, for example. This is very common from what I have seen. And so the full circle closes. And usually we can understand that someone who is responsible for this kidnap or disappearance or murder, that it has been someone close to the victim, first of all. And also, they are pulling away, they are denying it. If they are confronted, they will lie. Oh, I didn't do it. I don't know. I have not seen this person. It's very common. They do everything to hide away from that entire case. So we cannot be amazed if a person like this is disappearing, for example, leaving the country or whatever they can, they will do to run away from the situation. And so, yes, usually the suspect is someone close to the victim, and they have been manipulating the situation all along, and they are demonic and narcissistic. They have been controlling the victim. Like in this Juha Valkola's case that I was just mentioning when I was listening to the podcast today, called Last Lead, by this man, Marko Niemi, who is a Finnish crime reporter, like Riku Rantala as well. So I've been listening to this his podcast for since I found it a few years ago, and he does good work in it. So yeah, this Juha Valkola's case is another one that really touches my heart and my soul, and it seems like he has not had a diagnosis. If he has been autistic, he might be, but from what I can clearly see and feel from him is that he is very kind. People have been saying good things about him, and that he never would have hurt anyone. And it is so sad, it's so wrong, and it's so unfortunate, it's so cruel that it's always as kind, good, trusting people, open people who get hurt, who end up killed, who end up disappearing because they have trusted the wrong people. So if this resonates, that you are a kind, sensitive, empath, highly sensitive person, you're way too trusting, way too open, you give to people too easily, like I have as well. Please wake up. Please understand that it's self-sabotage. And you need to start saving yourself and what matters to you. You need to stand up for yourself and say, this is not okay with me. Because this Juha Valkola, he disappeared 5 years ago. He was 31. And it seems very clear that this couple that he was hanging out with, who were smoking weed and involved in crimes, I'm sure that they have killed this man. And often what I also want to add here is that I've seen so painfully that people who could have done something about this to help this poor young man, for example, to help these poor souls who have been kidnapped or killed, murdered, somebody has seen something, somebody knows something, somebody has been witnessing the case all along but didn't do anything. They should have acted. That is why I keep on amplifying. Please do something. If you see these sorts of things happening, please act up. Please do something. Please help the poor victims, because they don't know how to help themselves. You don't know, if you're in a trauma-bond situation and you're a kind, a trusting person, you don't know how to protect yourself. And of course, naturally, these narcissistic manipulators pull away and hide away and deny and withdraw and don't speak up. Of course, because if they did, they would have to admit the truth, that they are involved, that they have killed someone, that they have something to do with someone disappearing, for example. Of course they don't want to take accountability and responsibility. They don't know how to do that. So they can have so many demons, devil, whispering in their ear, and if they are caught, if they get caught and they are confronted, usually they will try to avoid the situation by saying, oh, I just had some voices in my head. I don't know what I did. I'm not sure. Something just happened. Something just switched off in my brain. So yeah, these are serious cases. First of all, the narcissistic abuse, the control, the manipulation. But then on top, if you disappear, if you get killed, you get murdered, you get sexually assaulted, for example, as a woman or as a child, these things just happen in this world. So they are so heavy issues, serious issues. So this is why we have to pay attention to who we are hanging around with. Usually it starts with you letting a toxic person into your life. If you are that trusting, kind, sensitive victim, they see you as that vulnerable target. And that is why they attack you and exploit you. And also, again, I'm talking from my painful personal experiences, because I never had anyone to protect me as a child or even later in life. I always had to, when I was dealing with heavy situations, like a car wanting me to hop in, for example, which I have had sometimes happen, that there would be someone pulling over basically, or like calling me to hop into the car with a complete stranger. Situations like this, you don't always know necessarily what to do, especially if you are a child, a teenager, you're very trusting and open and kind. You don't know how to be dodging those bullets. So this is important that we have awareness. And usually, these cases have been happening in very quiet, calm, small towns where people don't even lock their doors or close their windows, for example. Or like, if I think about my country, Finland, when I've been following Finnish disappearance and murder cases, the target, the victim, has always been a kind person, someone a teenage girl, for example, someone who has just been caught off guard for some reason, or they have been just hanging with the wrong people, so we need to be careful, seriously. And of course, if there are people around you who are basically enabling it, even though they might warn you about being in the wrong company, but if you don't listen to it, you are so trusting and kind that you have maybe already created a trauma-bound situation with your abuser who is controlling and manipulating you. Like, for example, in this Juha's case, clearly he's very controlled. The abusers are just hanging around with him, moving from one place to another. Here in Finland, they were doing that, and they had been smoking a lot of weed, and the couple, I mean, not Juha apparently, but anyway, and they had not been giving Juha any food, so he was very skinny when he disappeared. From what people were saying, what they had seen Juha being very, very skinny. And I saw the footage of, because he went to this K-Market, a retail shop, maybe with his abusers, maybe with this couple. I'm not sure if they are in the picture, because they are not showing clearly, but he's shown to enter the shop with some people. So he is very skinny in that footage, and it's clear that he's withering away. So they did not give him, apparently, but some oatmeal sometimes, or, that is clearly not enough. So it's a clear red flag if you witness somebody hanging around with a couple, a man and a woman, who are weed smokers and who have been committing crimes, and who are moving from town to town with that victim tagging along with them, and they are basically just using that victim as a slave. So this is a clear trauma bond situation. And these people are expressing narcissistic, demonic behavior and energy. So yeah, it makes me feel very uneasy to even think about this topic, but I have to address this. I want to address this issue because I really would not want this to happen to anyone. And the fact that they did not even feed him properly. So the victim is basically acting like a little child who is helpless and who is a controllable victim. That is, of course, what these perpetrators want. That is what they want. They want the victim to act like an innocent, vulnerable little child who is just trusting them and not speaking up to anyone and not standing up for themselves. And, so it's no wonder if that victim ends up killed, murdered, disappeared. That is, of course, the end result. What else would it be in that situation? If you are already withering away when you're so skinny that you don't even get proper food. And they had been, when people were trying to give food to them, these perpetrators lied. So apparently the perpetrators were lying that this victim has allergies and he cannot eat that and that and that and that and that. And then a woman was trying to take some berries to the victim so that he would get at least some vitamins and something to eat. So clearly these innocent people who were trying to help were also buying into that, into those lies, into those perpetrators' behavior. So this is again why we have to pay attention to this and not believe these sorts of people Because, you know, if you're seeing someone wither away like that, being controlled, please help. And also, of course, as I'm here to help, if you're dealing with a situation like this, that you're stuck in a trauma bond situation, you're a kind, empath, highly sensitive person, please do buy my self-help book. Start helping yourself. You need to open your own eyes because, of course, even more so if there's nobody to tell you what you should do in this situation, when you're just stuck with the wrong people abusing you. It doesn't matter who it is. It can be your own family, fake friends, life partner, you know, whoever it is, but you don't deserve the abuse. So I'm here to help authentically. My book will help you. I've gathered in it everything that I gave to myself when I started to help myself to recover from my depression, from my codependencies and trauma bonds in my own personal life. And also, of course, I'm here to help in my one-on-one sessions as well, because I want my people, my clients who resonate with my story, with my energy, my message as a survivor as well, who I am. So don't hesitate to apply to work with me one-on-one so that I'm really able to help you, because these videos and posts that I do are not necessarily enough. So if you need someone to really authentically listen to you with empathy and understanding, you know, because it's important to be seen and heard and respected, and to have a safe space to open up in someone that you can rely on. So I can be that person. So yeah, get in touch and apply to work with me.